Hello and welcome to Ready Take Live, the science of broadcast technology. I'm your host, Rob Baynard, and I'll be coming to you every week from LiveX Studios in Midtown Manhattan, just west of Times Square. We're going to talk about industry trends, best practices, and audience engagement methods for live media. Focusing on live social streaming and serialized live shows, we're going to walk you through the latest in capture, lighting, workflows, and distribution that will help you build your next live show. We're going to help you bridge the gap between big budget broadcast and smaller scale social streaming. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. This is Ready Take Live. Welcome back to Ready Take Live. I'm your host, Rob Baynard, and I work as a technical producer and director for LiveX in New York City. Every Friday, we're going to give you the latest tips and news from the world of live video. Send us your questions on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter using the hashtag ReadyTakeLive, and follow us at LiveX Production on all your favorite social and streaming channels. Continuing our live history segment, we're going to tell you all about the first ever band to stream live on the internet, Severe Tire Damage, and their drummer who became known as the father of ubiquitous computing. We'll show you how they did it and how it foreshadowed many of today's social live and internet streaming shows. We've got Aubrey Russell and Nick Nagurka in the control room who are going to give us some hot takes on audio and video production gear. But first, let's get you up to date with what happened this week in the world of live and find out what's going on. Hey, Aubrey.
Hey.
Nice. How you doing? On this Friday evening?
We got a buddy with us here today.
Yeah,
Hey,
look
up,
at
Rob?
that. Hey, Nick. This is Nick Nagurka, our audio engineer, and as always, we have Aubrey Russell, our technical director, in the control room, cutting the show and actively a part of the show. So we're gonna dive right into what's going on in the world of live media, and Aubrey's gonna take it away with the new Adobe Suite.
Yeah, so the thing I wanted to talk about was the new Adobe Suite. Sorry about that. So we've got the 2018 Adobe Suite was released just this week. So some things to note about Premiere was that you can now do multiple projects simultaneously in one Premiere window, which is great. Constantly editing, and you've got all your projects in one window. They've also got a really cool, I haven't looked into it completely, but an immersive audio editing for 360 VR. So you can get some nice binaural audio in post, which is really awesome. And then an also exciting thing, because we have these that we use on jobs, they're now supporting Sony XOCN, which is a new, it's not a new format, it's a new format for them to support, which is shooting RAW in Sony. So it's for the FS5s, and it's their take on the Red camera. It's them competing with the RAW format of the Red.
Yeah. I mean, RAW is so important if you're going to take it into post-production and do some color grading and stuff like that. So it's nice to see that this feature came to the FS5, which is something that we have in some of our field kits, especially for our behind-the-scenes cameras and stuff like that. But it's cool to see they offer that, and that they're ever expanding the world of 360 post-production inside of their suite. Because initially it wasn't available to do any kind of 360 video inside of Premiere. Now, and they've since added a bunch of features and things like that, and it's good to see that they're continuing expanding the feature set for that. You also had caught something from Disney this week, didn't you, Aubrey?
Yeah, so Disney Parks has a blog, and they do a Disney Parks live stream. So they often have live streams for events that are happening. So throughout the Christmas season, they're doing a Frozen Holiday Wish. So it's a live stream that shows you what happens at the Magic Kingdom, at Cinderella's castle, how Elsa basically freezes the whole thing. It's a very cool light show, some nice projection mapping on it. But they stream it live, and they have two hosts that they cut back and forth between, between the show and the host. And it's not like anything too you've never seen before, nothing like that. Their graphics aren't super notable. They stream on YouTube in 720p. Like, none of that's what's notable about it. To me, what's notable is that Disney's doing more and more live streams for the people at home, and it's a way of bringing people to the parks. I think a lot of companies and businesses worry that if they live stream the product that they're trying to sell to an in-house audience, that they're going to lose the in-house audience because of that. And that's just not true. I was going through the Disney Parks or hashtag Disney Parks Live Twitter, and they had all these families posting about how they're like, oh, this is so awesome, can't wait to go next year. And it's such a great example to show that just because you're streaming that Broadway show and we're selling that at a lower price for a streaming content or anything like that, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get the in-house audience there as well. If you think about like large fights, whether it's boxing or MMA, there's nothing like being in the room for it. And just because you're watching it on pay-per-view doesn't mean that should the chance arrive that you wouldn't jump on that. So I just thought it was a really cool example of Disney using streaming in a way to really reel in the kid audience.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, obviously, kids are watching more of their content online than they are on TV, especially, my godson has a little iPad and he streams everything. He doesn't watch any linear television at all. We've seen this a lot where there's been a little bit of a concern over does it ruin the ticketed audience product versus, promoting it online with live streaming. Back when I was at Livestream, we noticed, we had Lincoln Center start to stream all of their jazz at Lincoln Center sessions, and they actually noted that it had the opposite effect that they were first concerned about, where it actually brought up the attendance and ticket sales and stuff like that. So I think it's a really good thing to get the word out for people who, everyone knows Disney, but they may not always think about going to Disney parks for these specific events. So it's a good segue into getting people into the parks and letting them know about it on social live and on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So Nagurka, our audio engineer, has a couple of things he wants to talk about related to the New York City Marathon. Is that right?
Yeah. So as you may know, this last weekend we had the New York City Marathon, and so it was quite a production. NEP produced the show technically, and CP Communications, which is a company that specializes in RF and signal transport, provided all communications and RF cameras for the marathon. And as you know, that's a lot of ground to cover, and they used primarily IP transport for comms and for cameras, as well as some bonded cellular technology. They had two wheelchair competitors who had tiny 5-ounce cameras that had cellular bonding devices on them, which they could then backhaul to their MCR and take those cameras.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, obviously, this is one of the largest scale productions in New York City that goes on every year, and it goes across all 5 boroughs from Staten Island and then ends in Central Park in Manhattan. And it was amazing work to see by the production teams of getting all of that video signal around across the 26.2 miles that is a marathon, and really engulfing the fans with an experience that makes you feel like you're really there. I was watching it both online and on air, and interestingly enough, the one thing that I thought was kind of weird was that we saw a big difference between real time and the on-air broadcast. The on-air broadcast was about 30 minutes behind the actual live real time. And my wife, I told her like, oh, you should check this out. I was like, just Google NYC Marathon stream or whatever. And she Googled it and she found a link that said Flanagan had won already. And I said, that's crazy. She's got like 4 miles left. So she was a little bit behind. The broadcast was a little bit behind. We expect broadcasts like this to be a little bit behind real time, especially with all that signal going all over the place and them having to bring it back to one master control control where they sync it all up and send it out via broadcast. But I was surprised it did seem about 30 minutes later than real time, which is quite a long time. But still, amazing work for all the production teams and everyone involved. And big congratulations to Flanagan, who became the first woman in many years to win the New York City Marathon.
It's a really big deal for her and for American marathoners and for American runners to have that example to look to.
Absolutely, and she looked effortless when she was coming down that final stretch. I mean, calm, composed, didn't even look like she was breathing heavy at the end of it. And she had a country mile lead over her competitor, who actually had won last year's marathon.
Yeah, the competitor before had won the last three marathons. Yeah, it was
right.
something ridiculous. But I'm really proud of you for knowing that a marathon is 26.2 miles.
Well,
So
I
I just wanted
actually
to put that
didn't
in
know that the marathon was 26.2 miles. I wrote in the script this week that it was 24 point something, but I was just kind of guessing at it. I knew it was something like that. Aubrey's a runner. So also this week, we had another episode of the Mr. Robot Digital After Show hosted by The Verge, which appeared on USA Network for the first time on air, immediately following a special ad-free continuous shot episode of Mr. Robot on USA. The on-air after show, or the on-air segment or episode was ad-free, so they wouldn't create any cuts because they wanted to really create this seamless continuous take feel to the episode, which was really cool. As a result, they delivered an episode that was just a hair short of the full hour. So they ceded their last remaining minutes of airtime to the on-air after show, which some of you may know I technical direct each week. I did it last season and I'm doing it again this season for The Verge and Vox Media. The on-air after show started with a portion of an interview with the creator and director of Mr. Robot, Sam Esmail, and it kicked off the digital show on Facebook and YouTube Live as well, telling viewers to switch over for the rest of the interview with Sam and our other regular segments that we do each week after the show. That was a pretty cool use of the airtime, and I'm sure a real treat for the diehard robot fans. So, Aubrey, what do you think about after shows? Do you like them? Do you not like them? What do you think? Audio.
Sorry, that was
Ew.
my bad. I'm kind of, I have mixed feelings about after shows. My guilty pleasure is Dancing with the Stars, and they had an after show, or actually it was kind of it was a full second screen for about 3 or 4 seasons, and actually one of our friends, Tom Sullivan, was the director for it. But admittedly, I didn't watch it that much. I was so focused on what was mainly happening on my TV. I didn't have my computer next to me. So yeah, I kind of feel mixed about them. I think a lot of people really like them. I think for this type of show, for Mr. Robot, it works great. It fits the audience so well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tech-based.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Robot is such a tech-based, tech culture, cult classic already. And so each week we break down the hacks that are involved in the show and all the different storylines that are going on. So yeah, I think for a show like Mr. Robot, it really makes sense. For some others, maybe it doesn't. I know you're a super fan of Dancing with the Stars, and I'm a little surprised that you didn't watch the digital stream while it was live. But
no, I caught a couple of them afterwards where they had like one-on-one interviews with the people after the show, and that part's interesting too. I think those of us in the industry, the behind the scenes, the BTS of everything. But yeah, the talks with creating they had so much of the dancers on the show be part of that, and to me, it wasn't as much about the dancers as it was about the talent that they brought in, the stars part of it. So.
Yeah. I mean, this was a little different. I mean, we've been working on the after show online for this is the second season now, but this time they always promote the show on air, and in fact they have a countdown that comes up in a lower on the credits that says tune in to the digital after show hosted by The Verge. And we're watching that clock in the control room as the on-air episode is going on and counting down to our show, and that's when we go live. But this was a different dynamic of us kicking off the after show on air and then telling viewers we're going to continue our interview with Sam Esmail, the creator of Mr. Robot, on Facebook Live and YouTube. So we pointed the fans over there, and immediately following that, we saw a huge uptick in the amount of viewers. So it was a really cool thing of USA Network and Mr. Robot, and obviously big thanks to Sam Esmail for agreeing to do the interview. And everyone over there at Vox Media and The Verge who works on the Mr. Robot After Show just does such a great job, and I'm really proud to be a part of a show like that. So finally, this Monday, November 13th, our co-founder, Corey Banke, will be speaking at the New York Video Meetup at 6:30 p.m. at Vimeo HQ here in New York at the Interactive Court building, which is just a few blocks south of here. And that's all we have for our What's Going On segment. Stick around because our show continues with our live history portion where we're going to talk about the first ever live video streams from a band in Palo Alto, California. And yeah, let's take a look first. But first, let's look back at this moment in LiveX history where we used wireless bonding and an iPad switcher to stream to Cheesehead TV from the Packers training camp. Take a look.
We saw the Live Air app from Teradek and thought this would be a great way to get fans to see players and reporting with live video directly from the field. It is an innovative solution allowing for a multi-camera live stream completely mobile while switching from an iPad. We solved for a lot of variables, from powering the router with V-mount batteries and connecting it to a cellular 4G card, to connecting the VidiU Minis to the GoPro and the Sony camera, to switching the show in Live Air.
If you weren't in Green Bay on the practice field, you couldn't get any closer than this. This was great because we had thousands of users watching practice and our interviews in real time live.
Wow, that was great. You know, Corey Banke, Aaron Nagler, Nick McCosey, all the people who worked on that, really great job. Welcome back to Ready Take Live. We're going to continue talking some gear and tech that we love, and we're going to welcome back in Aubrey Russell and Nick Nagurka in the control room for Ready Takes. Aubrey, what's up? What do you have for us?
Hey, so Ready Takes is the segment where we talk about some new gear that's out there, new gear that we like. So I'm going to talk about two pieces of lighting gear that we use actually in this show for the last 2 weeks. Going
Nice.
strong. So the first thing is the Chave DJ Freedom Par Tri-6. Sorry. It's red and blue currently in our control room behind me for Veterans Day. And so there's really cool uplighting generally. They can daisy chain power or be battery powered. They have the 3-pin DMX in and out, also for daisy chaining. And if you get their the Chave FlareCon Air, which is a little DMX box, then you just download the FlareCon app from Chave. And this graphic cracks me up. It looks like a butt.
Butt light.
It's a butt light. So, yeah, but the app is really cool. I want to show you it a little bit. So you pick which device you have. Let me see.
Yeah,
There's
it looks
no
good.
autofocus. So you pick which device you have, and then for coloring, you can either do that style or you can have a palette. So you can actually change the colors based on full color wheel.
Party lights.
Yeah, true DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, red and blue.
They're
Red
right
and blue,
behind you.
Veterans
I see them behind you there. We like the Chave Freedoms because they're battery powered and you can drop them down anywhere and they last forever. And they give you really nice curtain warmers or uplighting, stuff like that. Yeah, you can see here it's perfect for uplighting to add a little extra dimension to your set or your event or anything like that. Also this week, you have something that you want to talk about from Light Panels.
Yeah, so we actually have it on, currently on Nick Nagurka and myself. If you can see, both of us are so nicely lit. And that is thanks to these light panel bricks that are in front of us. So the light panel brick kit comes with one light panel brick that is mainly on-camera lighting. Can also be used for like last-minute hair light or supplemental lighting for larger rigs that you have. But it comes with a diff, a sliding-on diff, and a sliding-on honeycomb filter. And then it has a little articulating arm, and you can power via DTAP, so it's an all-in-one camera rig ready to go for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, the light panels, the original light panels brick was pretty rinky-dink and actually just looked terrible when you put it on camera and when you ran around run and gun style. But this one is really perfect for run and gun, and it's actually built with like the same architecture as the larger 1x1 Astra light panels.
Yeah, it's got the two knobs. You got a dimmer, and it's bi-color, so you can choose between daylight and tungsten, which is great.
Nice. That's awesome. So yeah, Nick Nagurka, our audio engineer, wants to talk to us about waves and Fieldcast and everything in the world of audio land.
Yes, sir.
So tell us what you got for us.
All right, so the first thing I've got for you is Waves Multi-Rack, which is one of my favorite plugin processing platforms, especially for live, because it allows you to host plugins on your computer and use them in real time. I'm a big fan of Waves plugins because I come from a recording studio background and I'm just used to using audio plugins. And I find that they have a really familiar interface for me, and they allow me to get inspiration and get things done quickly with just a couple of mouse clicks.
Yeah, and this is a software product, right?
It is. It runs on my laptop, and on my laptop, I can pipe on audio from my console through Dante into an Ethernet port on my MacBook Pro, and then I process that audio on my MacBook, send it back out to the console, and I'm good to go.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good way to expand the range of your system and take the place of some much more expensive hardware systems like a Cedar denoiser or something of that nature, right?
Or a broadcast processor. I'm able to monitor loudness on my computer right here. I can see loudness units. I also have a denoiser, and I have a Dugan auto mixer, which is fantastic. I've got 64 channels of Dugan auto mixing, and
which is all those people that don't know,
a way for a machine to ride open mics, especially in unscripted dialogue. It's great to be able to lean on a little bit to keep sort of dormant mics closed down while you don't need to listen to them, especially in TV. Just keeps things clean because it can react way faster than a human can ride faders. Even the best of us can't catch things that quickly and keep it clean.
Yeah, definitely for live. One of the biggest ways you can upgrade your audio system is to get a Dugan, because there's no way that a human can ride faders during like a spirited panel or banter discussion fast enough to be able to bring people up and down at the appropriate time, so they end up leaving all the channels open just in case somebody wants to talk or something like that. And that can be a noisy environment, especially if you're dealing with lavs and not handhelds or headsets. So it's a really good thing to use. Other than that, we have something from Fieldcast that you want to talk about.
Absolutely, and this one I'm really excited about, and it's from a Dutch company called Fieldcast, which I had never really heard of until a couple of weeks ago. And what it is a device that will allow you to take 4, 8, or 16 12G SDI feeds, that's 4K 60, combine them onto one fiber strand, and send them as far away as you want, basically within the realm of fiber. So
that thing's 12G?
That is 12G, yes.
I can't believe it.
It's unreal, absolutely unreal. There's no other company that is doing this that I know of. I'm sure there's somebody out there that is making a custom solution, but we've looked at AJA, we've looked at Yellowbrick. They all have 12G transport solutions for fiber because fiber has, tons of bandwidth available, but none of them are able to mux yet, and that is particularly exciting for things like New Year's Eve in Times Square, where you have a limited amount of fibers available and you want to get as many feeds back and forth as possible because you need them for comms, audio, what have you.
Yeah. You know, we decided when we built this studio to build an entirely 12G infrastructure so that we could do 4K. And, you know, you guys can, if you're watching this on Facebook Live or on Twitter, you can tune in over to YouTube and catch this live in 4K. Thanks to our 12G infrastructure and our 4K AWS Elemental encoder. So 12G is really important for the future, especially for those of us like myself who are not quite ready to make the jump over into a fully IP bandwidth-based infrastructure and still want to keep baseband video running on copper and fiber lines. So 12G MUX and DMUX would be really valuable in a large venue or any environment where you need to get a lot of cameras from one location back to a control room or an OB truck. So anything else you want to say about that, Nagurka?
I just want to say that I'm really excited about that, and I'm also really excited for IP when it finally becomes widely available, because then that means the end of embedders and de-embedders for me.
Yeah. I mean,
from anywhere.
Audio has gone to IP a lot quicker than video has. So, you know, we're slowly seeing a lot more things come out, like the Sony XVS line of switchers that's IP enabled and stuff like that. I'm pretty excited about. But right now, it's still a lot to figure out, but we're getting a lot closer. I've got one more product to talk about today for Ready Takes, and that's the T-Rax family of encoders and decoders from Teradek, and Teradek's core encoding platform, which is a multi-distribution streaming platform. We use the T-Rax both here at LiveX and in a lot of our client locations for the ease of having a bunch of encoder and decoder cards that can send one stream up to the cloud and let core platform stream out to all the destinations at any time. So check out this video from our friends at Teradek on how we use the T-Rax and core system to encode the DJI Mavic Pro launch to 10 different platforms last year. Take a look.
One of the things about launching a product for a global brand like DJI is they need to go to multiple platforms to hit their users everywhere they are. In live streaming, there are no second chances. We have to bring it. Our clients expect us to deliver a stream to millions of people worldwide. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of effort, and when it comes to manpower, when it comes to redundancy, when it comes to reliability, that's really what we're looking for in the tools that we use every day. Using T-Rax and Core today, we were able to give our client DJI global brand exposure for their new tiny Mavic drone. And it was an amazing success.
No, you silly person. This Millicent CD goes in your computer. But while you're here, enjoy a tasty audio sampling from Severe Tire Damage, the first band on the internet.
You know what that means? That means it's time for Live History, where this week we're paying tribute to the house band of the internet, Severe Tire Damage. On June 24th, 1993, on the patios of Xerox PARC in Palo Alto, California, the band Severe Tire Damage, itself made up of computer scientists and engineers who worked at Xerox PARC, DEC Systems Research Center, and Apple Computer, became the first ever band to perform live on the internet. They broadcast onto the Internet Multicast Backbone, also known as the M-Bone, and were seen and heard live as far away as Australia by anyone who had a basic Unix computer, Mac, or PC. M-Bone engineering was by Ron Frederick and Steve Deering of the Computer Science Lab at Xerox PARC, and take a look at this clip where guitarist and vocalist Russ Haynes talks about how they did it.
Using about half the available bandwidth of the internet. Half the total bandwidth of the internet was just us doing really, really bad songs. And it's because the internet had not been bumped up to do anything with audio or video at the time. Internet was for email.
Can you believe it? Half the total available internet bandwidth. That's just crazy. These punk rock computer scientists put together the first ever video published on the public internet, and it happened to be feature songs like Chris Killed Your Dog, 1,000 Clowns, and everyone's favorite, Carcinoma. What's even crazier than these guys is their almost hilarious workflow diagram detailing a MIDI translator thingy. a fog machine, and a Severe or server, and an encoder, which was sending audio and video over the internet mbone to play out on std.org. You can take a look at the workflow diagram here. It was quite crazy. You could see a bunch of microphones is a technical term they used, a MIDI translator thingy, a MIDI relay trigger, and of course, everyone's favorite, a fog machine. But it went out to the internet and streamed live to std.org, a site that still exists today and has all sorts of great articles, music, video, and images of the band, a lot of which you're seeing here. And about a year later, on November 18th, 1994, the band returns to the Internet mbone to open for the Rolling Stones. Broadcasting from the Digital Systems Research Center in Palo Alto, California, Severe Tire Damage stole the show and crashed the internet with what they call the opening act to the Stonecast concert. No one knew they were going to do this, but there were no locks on the internet at the time, and anyone could take over the bandwidth and push out a live stream. So many media reports cited them as, quote, a lesser-known band who opened for the Rolling Stones. They went up about a half hour before the Stonecast, saying the Stones will be up shortly and that they were performing the first ever multi-city virtual concert. The move was so brilliant that it exploded all over the world, and many reports said that they had a better connection and a smoother concert than the Stones. They played both before the 7 p.m. Stonecast and again at 8:05 p.m. after their performance. Audio engineering was by Ken Beckman, mbone engineering was by Lance Burke, both of Digital Systems Research Center. But on a more serious note, the drummer and sometimes bassist, sometimes vocalist, Mark Weiser was the chief technologist at Xerox PARC and is widely known as the father of ubiquitous computing, a term that he coined in 1988 where he said that we are experiencing the third wave of computing technology marked by calm technology that fades into the background of our lives and serves as a quiet, invisible servant to help you do something else. The computer should be an extension of your unconscious and make you smarter through intuition, and technology should create calm. Weiser was named Smithsonian Magazine Rock's smartest drummer about a year after the first live broadcast, and he thought that there would be hundreds, even thousands of multicast channels on the mbone where eventually everyone would have their own channel to stream their lives and businesses with the rest of the world with audio and video. Sounds a lot like today's social streaming on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Weiser also thought that computers would be small and repurposed or changeable to do one simple task really well, like telling you the weather, or acting like a scrap paper to doodle on or make notes, which is something he called scrap computers. Scrap computers could be added to each other to do more complex tasks, and he even thought that one day you'd be driving home and someone might tell you to pick up a six-pack of computers on the way. He could be seen as one of the fathers of our connected era, but he was also one hell of a drummer. Sadly, in 1999, Weiser was diagnosed with stomach cancer and given 18 months to live. Weiser died 6 weeks later on April 27, 1999, but before he died, he recorded this one last song, even while receiving a 24-hour-a-day chemotherapy drip.
Exploratory surgery, can't wait to see what we can see. We'll start off with the speculum, and then the cystoscopy room. We'll keep on wheeling down the hall. Our illnesses are such a ball. We'll get down on our hands and knees and both end up as amputees. And both end up as amputees. Oh baby, give me your husband.
The Mark D. Weiser Excellence in Computing Scholarship Fund at the University of California, Berkeley is awarded to undergraduate computer science students in Weiser's honor. Coincidentally, Weiser never received an undergraduate degree, but in fact, he skipped it and was given a doctoral degree immediately upon graduation. His thesis was made into a groundbreaking book called Computing in the 21st Century, And since 2001, the Association for Computing Machinery Special Interest Group and Operating Systems has given the annual Mark Weiser Award to researchers not more than 20 years into their career who have made contributions that are highly creative, innovative, and possibly high risk, in keeping with the visionary spirit of Mark Weiser. From all of us here at Ready Take Live, we want to give a big thank you to the house band of the internet, Severe Tire Damage, and to the father of ubiquitous computing, Mark Weiser. Thanks again to LiveX Studios and our co-founder, Corey Banke. For myself and all the people in the back, thanks for watching Ready Take Live.